So good afternoon and welcome to a special City Council meeting for the Oak Harbor City Council. It is Friday, November 19th. It is 4 p.m. November 19th of 2021, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. Due to COVID-19, this will be both a physical meeting location and a virtual meeting per Washington Proclamation 20-28. Due to Governor Inslee's order, masks are required for everyone in council chambers, regardless of vaccination status. City staff are participating via teleconference. Any guests that are included in staff presentations will be excused from the Ring Central meeting at the conclusion of the agenda item as appropriate. Today's meeting may be viewed live via YouTube and on cable channel 10, HD 1090. And at this time, I'll turn to the city clerk to ask that we have our roll call. Julie?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Pro Tem Munns.
Present.
Councilmember Heisen.
Present.
Councilmember Servadius.
Present.
Councilmember Wiesner.
Present.
Councilmember Goebel.
Present.
Mayor, council members Wassinger and Mack have requested to be excused.
Okay, thank you, Clerk Lindsay. And at this time, I will entertain a motion to excuse council members Wassinger and Mack.
Councilmember Heisen.
Council Heisen.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to excuse council members Wassinger and Mack. Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to excuse council members Wassinger and Mack. Motion by Councilor Heisen, second by Mayor Pro Tem Munns. All in favor, signify by raising your hand, please.
Yay.
Okay, that carries. Thank you very much, Julie. So before we get down to our two items of business, I'd like to actually begin to take a moment to share a few highlights from our all-hands staff meeting held yesterday. This year we wanted to focus on education and wellness, and especially the appreciation of our staff. This appreciation included some well-deserved employee awards in a couple of categories. Especially, we did special awards, and we also had awards that were related to our theme for 2021, and that theme is around the word results. I'd like to share these today with a little more than 2 weeks, as it will be a little more than 2 weeks until our next council meeting. So we do have a PowerPoint here, it looks like. And I'd like to first then go to we had a creativity award, and who can you guess? Of course, Angela Bronstein from the fire department won that award for her creation of the logo for our transportation benefit district. And then our Lifesaver Award to our Public Works staffers, Jack Robinson and Brian Snyder. We had a Cybersecurity Award that went to Sarah Heller, who stopped somebody that she didn't recognize in City Hall to check on their business. And as it turns out, they were there with our IT team from off staff. But Sarah was making sure that they were in there for business and not something other than. So thank you, Sarah. Our Wellness Committee champions, we have three. Elise Henry from our marina, Lisa Edlin from the police department, and Sandra Place at Public Works. Sandra also received the CARE Award for her work to keep staff and businesses safe by ordering COVID-related supplies at a time when many organizations could not get that. So then our results, winners, and these were nominated by employees, And the winners of the first for R in results, that stands for responsibility, that went to Lisa Edlin in the police department. E for excellence to Ray Lindenberg in the development services department. S in results for service went to Jack Robinson in the clean water facility, public works. U for unity went to Amy Stevens in public works. Leadership to Sonny Wolf in the finance department. Teamwork to Tally in our Public Works Division, Parks Department, Tally Huck. Success to Tom Wade in the Public Works Department Facilities Division. And the final S, overall winner for the results award recipients went to Kim Perrine in our legal department. So I want to thank you to all of our hardworking staff. And thank you for your participation. It seems like we're getting more participation each time we communicate with our staff now, and I just very much appreciate that. Thank you. So before we get to our next or our first item of business, also one reminder that city offices will be closed next week on November 25th and the 26th. In observance of the Thanksgiving holiday. So we'll start off then. Yes.
May I chime in? Sorry. I had a question about one of the awards, one of the first ones listed. It was the Lifesaver Award. What was the criteria for that?
Well, you know, that we had a special circumstance, and it was a few years back. We had something that could have certainly been a disaster, had a disastrous result that turned out that Gideon, in his work out on the seaplane base, and again, that happened 3-4 years ago, but we just decided, you know, at this time that the two people that came along and were able to get him out and get him, you know, restored back to after the terror. Gideon actually described what happened to the entire staff and talked about the fact that he went in, had a piece of equipment that he was trying to save, and as it turned out, it was the piece of equipment that kept him able to not, I guess, dog paddle and keep his head above. He was in a pool out there, one of our holding pools out there that was 8 feet deep, and he was there for a long time, almost an hour. And these two guys, you know, just kind of luckily went back out and were able to save him. And so, you know, it could have been a terrible, disastrous result there. And to hear Gideon tell about it, you know, it was really something for the entire staff to hear. So.
Oh my gosh! So it wasn't like a "They Saved the Day" award. I mean, this was a literal lifesaver.
They saved his life, no question.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
Well deserved. And I want to give a shout out. You know, every day I think to myself, I'm like, oh, I need to send out an email to the Wellness Committee. And I've been telling myself that for about 2 years. And I apologize to the Wellness Committee. But they have just been knocking it out of the park. I mean, every time the creativity that goes into some of the Wellness Committee's projects, and every time they come up with something, I am so impressed, and I think I need to reach out to them and tell them what a great job they're doing. And then it always slips my mind, and I apologize. I feel bad for that because they absolutely deserve all of the kudos and all of the shout outs to everyone on the Wellness Committee. Thank you. I know it takes time to come up with the campaigns and stuff that you do, and the creativity and the effort that goes into them. And I'm always really, really impressed. So thank you to everyone who puts in all the work on that committee. I just wanted to, the awards reminded me, and I wanted to say it, so I didn't regret not saying it. So thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. It's really nice to hear from council. Thank you. Okay, we'll start with our item number one. First ordinance is ordinance number 1939, budget amendment number 3, American Rescue Plan Act funding, and both of these today will be presented by our finance director, Mr. David Goldman. David?
All right, thank you, Mayor, City Council members, David Goldman, Finance Director. The item that we're going to be discussing, the first item on the agenda today will be the second budget amendment that's related to the American Rescue Plan Act allocation of funds. So the city will receive a total of about $6.6 million in ARPA, or American Rescue Plan Act funding. These funds must be obligated by the end of December 24 and expended by the end of December 26. And on July 13, 2021, the City Council created an ARPA subcommittee consisting of 3 council members and relevant city staff. So the subcommittee made a number of recommendations at their last meeting. Those recommendations were reviewed by the City Council at the October 27th, 2021 workshop. And based on the input received, the list that we present to you tonight was revised. The list contains $1.142 million to be allocated over the next 4 years. The previous allocation of funds totaled $552,000. So the balance remaining to be allocated after this budget amendment would be $4.9 million, or about 75% of the total funds that the city will receive. So this is the list in your packet of the items that we're asking for approval today. We went over these at the workshop, but just to give a quick rundown, there's some items that involve the police department, such as these HRAT vests, remote ground deployable vehicle, use of force training system, and another pistol optics equipment and training. There's some items for the fire department, such as HVAC replacement, some bunker gear, fire helmets, extrication tools, life-saving devices, and also for a fire lieutenant, funded through the end of 24 with these funds, and then will be funded using other funding after that. For finance, we just have some office space, airborne illness mitigation, the term limited cashier, and even though this is under finance, this is really for the entire city hall, building window seals to increase energy efficiency. 2 items for senior services. An item here that's under public works, it's really just technology for employees. So if folks are out in the field and they need to contact headquarters, or they need to contact their manager or their administrator, they would have the technology to do so remotely, using city devices instead of their own devices. 2 items here for development services. One is for a monitor in the downstairs conference room, and another is for directional signage. That was proposed by the Main Street Association. There are 4 items for parks. You can read them here: Windjammer Park, Smith Park, Howell Romilly Memorial Park, and Flintstone Park. There's funding for security cameras at the marina, similar to the previous budget amendment that provided funding for security cameras over at the parks. There's funding for A-frame sign holders for outreach purposes. There is funding for the entire city to utilize for PPE. And there's some funding for IT items, such as replacement servers, some other replacements for devices to work remotely, some cybersecurity software, and also electronic signature software. And finally, there is funding for the summer contract that was approved by the City Council last month regarding the extension of that contract through the end of the year. So the amount that will be allocated in the 2021-22 biennial budget totals $902,000. 734 of it will be for this year, and 168 of it will be for next year. Now, keep in mind that anything allocated to a project will stay with the project. It will be carried forward from year to year until the project's completed or the project is decided the project needs to be canceled. That's how it is for all projects, not just ARPA-funded projects. So with that, we have a recommended motion on the screen and in your packet. Are there any questions or concerns?
Thank you, Dave. Before we do that, I think we'll open the public meeting at this time. And open the public hearing, I should say. And then I'd like to confirm to see if there have been any input from our public.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. We received no input from the public on this item.
Okay, so we don't have any public comments on this item. And so I think then I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and then turn to the council for questions. And I can't see the council very well.
Mayor, Council Member Servadius has his hand raised.
Okay, great. Councilor Servadius.
So my only question is, Mayor, this workshop special meeting was advertised with no action to be taken?
So I'll turn back to our staff. I think that certainly the plan was to do the public hearing parts of these.
Well, yeah, my understanding is the purpose of having this special meeting was
It's advertised on the website with no action to be taken, Mayor.
So, again, I'm going to turn back to staff. Help me out here a little bit. I don't know about website. Yes, go ahead, Mr.
Mayor, we do have legal counsel here to help advise on that. We don't have Hillary, but we have Alexander Kenyon. So good to meet you. We've heard your name. If you could kind of help us with the procedure here, I think the intent was to take action. So
yeah. And pardon me, I'm battling a cold. So under the Open Public Meetings Act, final disposition can only be taken on items listed on the agenda. It doesn't discuss, nor do I know of any, case law analyzing whether if the city states final action will not be taken, whether that would contradict the statute. So it's my understanding that these public hearings and ordinances need to be adopted today. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Then again, it's not clear, but the statute is clear that we can't take any final action on anything not listed in the agenda.
Mayor Severin?
Okay, so the fact that apparently there was a mistake made on the website, it does not preclude us from moving forward and taking action on the two items on our agenda. Is that correct, Alexandra?
I think we can move forward with it and see, and probably pretty low risk.
Okay.
So, Mayor, to me, this is a very dangerous precedent. You've brought up several times when council has moved to add something to the agenda in a workshop or a special meeting, that since it wasn't advertised for action, we can't do it, especially since it involves, this next item after this one involves a property tax increase. If we've advertised to the public, it says right here on our website, no action will be taking, it says this meeting, but at this meeting. For me, I will abstain from both of these because this is a very dangerous precedent when we've set a very firm line for the last, all of your administration and before that, to not take action on items that were not advertised that we would take action on during a special meeting. Thank you.
So we must have some other, I see Dave Goldman with his hand up. We must have some other notification about this meeting besides just the website. Is that correct?
I was gonna bring up the fact that the official notification was done in the local newspaper of record. And I think Julie would be able to provide more information regarding that notification.
That's correct, David. The official notification was provided in the paper of record, which is the Whitby News Times, and it was noticed under legal notices in that paper. I would like to say that this, where it says on the agenda, that is definitely my error. I used our template for our agenda program, which automatically apparently adds that. And that is my error. It was noticed correctly in the paper as us looking at these items for action.
Okay, so, and so I think what we're being told here is that is the legal notice. Yes, we may have, we have a website that says something different. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mayor. The agenda in the packet on the website says no action. However, the legal notice in the paper says that these will be public hearings to take action.
Okay.
Mayor,
Yes.
may I add something, please? Before we ever had Facebook or Instagram or Twink or Twake or whatever that is, all we had was official notifications in the paper. And I would think, legal, I'm sure, would agree that that takes precedence over Facebook. But I don't know. It's, you know, we could get dinged for this. We could get penalized. So I don't know.
If I may comment, you are required to post the notice on your website for the special meeting under the Open Public Meetings Act. So to remove all doubt, the city could renotice and hold a new special meeting, fixing that error in the agenda and on the website.
Alexandra, this is the finance director. The property tax item by state law has to be approved by the city council prior to November 30th of each year.
Right.
How would what you just said affect that deadline?
Well, is it possible to hold another special meeting on, say, Monday with a corrected notice?
I mean, I'm here, but
I know it's probably not the advice you want to hear, but
I'm here on Monday. I could do it.
The issue is
We
the
need
public.
4, correct, to have a majority show up for the meeting, correct? 4 out of 7?
Well, if that's, I certainly will be here, but I won't be voting. And so let's ask the rest of the council if they could be here on Monday.
Mayor, if I might, point of order.
Go ahead.
It would probably make sense to ask our attorney what our requirements are as far as noticing for special meetings per our rules to notice the council and the public, and then make the decision from there.
I'm sorry, was there a question?
Yes, we're trying to decide on a time for this meeting, and I said what would make sense is to get legal advice on what's required per the council's rules to notify the council members for a special meeting, as well as notifying the public. And once we know what those timelines are, then we can move forward and set a date.
So I think our staff knows the timelines.
Great.
Julie, and
Yes, Mayor, special meeting notices require 24 hours advance notice. I can make this adjustment to the agenda right away when we are done here today. So we can certainly notice this for Monday if all council members are available, or a majority of council members are available.
Okay, can I get some input from other councilors for Monday?
Mayor, I
Or from
can,
all of council?
I can attend on Monday. This 4 o'clock time works for me or later.
Okay, that's Councilor Goebel, right?
That's correct, Mayor. And Councilmember Heisen has her hand raised.
Councilor Heisen.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm also available Monday. I just wanted to point out that the agenda packet, I mean, while the boilerplate language on the template says, it defaults to no action for the special meeting, it says that the rest of the agenda then, proceeds to lay out the ordinance and the recommendation for passing it. So if you actually look at the agenda packet, the intention for this meeting was clearly and obviously to take action. So, I don't know if a typo in the first sentence is enough to set us back, but if we would be more comfortable postponing, then Monday is perfectly fine with me.
So we have Councilor Goebel, Mayor Pro Tem. Are you available on Monday? I think you said that you would.
Yes, I am. I said I am available, I believe, anytime on Monday, and I believe Councilman Goebel said that this time period works great with her teaching job. So, yeah, good for me.
Councilor Servadius?
I am not, unfortunately, I will be out of town.
Okay.
Mayor, Councilmember Wiesner has his hand raised.
Yes, Councilor Wiesner.
Thank you, Mayor. I would echo Councilor Heisen's comments. Clearly, attached is also the agenda for the meeting, and then people, if anybody wanted to click on that agenda, would clearly see their action items. However, if it makes the rest of the council feel better, as well as, we're protecting the public in doing so, I'm happy to juggle my schedule for Monday. The reality is I have a meeting with Mr. Goldman on Monday at 4 o'clock that we would have to relocate. So
I think what I've heard is that we potentially would have 4 council members today. Is that correct? Councilor Munns, Councilor Wiesner, Councilor Goebel, and Councilor Heisen.
That's correct, Mayor.
Do you want to do the 4 of you want to move ahead today?
I would hate for the city to get dinged. I was in a island transit meeting, and we lost some Wi-Fi for our guest, and our attorney said, no, we could not continue with the meeting or take action. So there you go. So our attorney just said that it really needs to be correct, if I understood her. I just would hate the city to get dinged. Monday's fine with me. I'm sorry that we're losing Councilman Servadius. And maybe Mac can come, short meeting. So
Yep.
we can see if we might have 5.
We'll check with both Mac and Wassinger then. Okay. Then we will go ahead and potentially adjourn this meeting and plan for a meeting on Monday about the same time then.
Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah, City Administrator Oborn, you have 2 items that have been noticed in the paper for public hearing. I would recommend that you, at a minimum, continue the public hearing notice for those 2 items that you have on the agenda. And then with the 24-hour rule, does the Was 4 o'clock on Monday still meet the 4 o'clock rule is the question.
4 o'clock on Monday should meet the notice rules for 24 hours.
The weekend counts, okay.
So yeah, your recommendation is to go ahead and do the second ordinance public hearing today, and then reconvene on Monday for voting.
Yeah, because they are advertised for a public hearing, and I think that's not in dispute. So I would recommend motions to continue the public hearing on those two items so that the public is aware, any public applying right now would be aware that they're continuing it, and they're welcome to provide public comment on the Monday rescheduled meeting. And our attorney here, if that sound reasonable, the request?
Good call.
So Alexandra, you're pinch hitting for Hillary, thank you.
Yeah,
So it sounds like that you do agree that it would be okay to go ahead with the second ordinance and hold the public hearing, and then we'll plan to.
continue them to
Okay.
Monday.
Okay. So I guess then do I go back to the first ordinance where I opened the public hearing and I actually closed that? Do I need to reopen that in your estimation?
I think that seems practical. Let's reopen it and continue it.
Okay, so I'll reopen the first ordinance, number 1939, public hearing. We had no public comment, and we'll just extend that until Monday. So
Well, Mayor, I'll be happy to make a formal motion to extend public hearing on item number 1 until Monday.
okay, we have a motion to extend the public hearing for
Second.
the item number 1 until Monday. Motion by Mayor Pro Tem. Was that a second, Councilor Eisen? Okay, motion and second to extend that public hearing until the meeting on Monday. Any other input or questions? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, signify by raising your hand.
David Goldman has his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The motion was to extend it to the meeting on Monday, but do we need to put the time or not in the motion?
Have we set the time at 4 o'clock on Monday? Was that your question? I'm not,
Yeah, I don't know if we've set the time at 4 o'clock or not. It's just,
I don't think we have.
so maybe that
I
needs,
kind of assumed it would be at 4, but yeah, you're right. We haven't actually specified.
I will add that to my motion at 4 o'clock on Monday,
Okay.
22nd of November.
And so, and the second to the motion, we have a added to the motion, and Councilor Eisen, your second still stands. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so all in favor signify by raising your hand.
Aye.
Or saying aye. Julie, can you?
Yes, Mayor, that passes unanimously for those members who are here.
Okay, so then we'll go to the second item on our agenda, ordinance number 1940, setting property tax levies for 2022 for RCW 8452-020 and 8452-070. And we'll turn to our finance director, Mr. Golden.
we're probably going to want to also move that to the Monday meeting.
Did you want to go through at this meeting, though, so that I can open a public hearing?
Absolutely. So again, thank you, Mayor and City Council members. At this time, I'd like to turn the meeting, I'd like to turn this over to Chaz Webster, who I've worked with over the past few weeks, to create the PowerPoint and all the documents related to this item. So with that, take it away, Chaz.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yes, okay. All right, good evening, Mayor, Council, and staff. I am Chaz Webster, Finance and Performance Analyst with the Finance Department. Tonight, I'll be presenting information regarding the City of Oak Harbor regular property tax levy. Regular property taxes are subject to a 1% maximum statutory limit of increase set by the Washington State Constitution. The increase is based on the implicit price deflator, herein referenced as IPD. This index measures inflation through personal consumption expenditures. For 2022, the IPD rate is 3.86%, as reported by the State Department of Revenue in September of this year. The DOR compares quarter 2 2020 to quarter 2 2021 results to arrive at this index. The IPD this year is greater than 1%, which allows local governments with populations 10,000 or greater to take the full 1% levy increase without the requirement of an ordinance of substantial need. Ordinance 1940 is required to authorize the statutory increase to the regular property levy for 2022. The historic IPD rates since 2007 are displayed on this chart. Since 2007, 5 years were less than 1%, causing council to approve an ordinance for substantial need in order to take the full 1% increase. The dashed line indicates the 1% limit. You'll notice in the years where the IPD was over 1%, the city was still limited to the 1% increase. It would take a public vote to increase the levy rate over the 1%. The 1% increase to the property tax levy is needed to keep pace with the long-term impact of inflation and to maintain the existing level of services provided by the city to its citizens, such as police, fire, and parks. Here are the levy scenarios for your consideration. 1, we make no change, which amounts to 0 increased tax dollars. 2, levy the additional statutory maximum 1%, which amounts to about $45,300. To give an example of what this increase may look like, for a home assessed at $400,000, the estimated increase would be about $6.30. Here is the breakdown of the 2021 taxing jurisdictions and levy rates. Highlighted is the City of Oak Harbor levy rate of $1.92 per 1,000 of assessed value. The county assessor will calculate the levy rate by dividing the total levy amount by the assessed value of the taxable property in the district. These two charts help identify the correlation between assessed value and levy rates. As assessed valuation increases, the levy rate generally decreases due to the levy amount relationship with annual increases to assessed value. You can see on the top chart, the valuation was at its minimum in 2015 and rose slowly over time as the city grew. You can see on the bottom chart that the proposed levy rate, which includes the 1% increase, is at its lowest level for the last 13 years. Illustrated in this chart are the historical property tax limits since 2009. In 2009, the tax limit reached a little over 4 million. And 13 years later, for 2022, the tax limit will be at about 4.6 million. This comparison illustrates the 1% increases authorized each year as seen as the hare compared to not authorizing the maximum non-voted levy limit as seen by the tortoise. Had council not approved the statutory 1% increases since 2009, the total amount left unavailable to be used for the provision of general fund services, such as fire, police, and parks, would have been $4,288,198. We request to make the motion to authorize the mayor to sign the 2022 levy certification as required by the county legislative authority, and for council approval of ordinance 1940, authorizing statutory 1% increase to the 2022 regular property tax levy. Thank you, and please let us know if there are any questions.
Thank you, Chaz and Dave, to get us to this point. I'll open the public hearing at this point in time. And just, I guess, that we'll be extending this to Monday also, but I assume we have no public input on this subject, but I'd like to verify that with our clerk.
That's correct, Mayor. We had no input from the public on this item. So now you will
Okay.
ask for a motion to continue.
Okay, so,
I will make that motion again.
okay. So that
I
motion
move
is,
that we extend the public meeting for this tax hike to Monday, 4 o'clock, 22nd of November.
Second.
okay. Got a motion and a second to extend this public hearing to 4 o'clock on Monday, the 22nd. Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem, and that second was Councilor Heisen again, right? Oh, that was Councilor Goebel then. Okay. Any other questions or input? All in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your right hand.
Wait,
Aye.
did Councilmember Wiesner have a question, or was he raising his hand to vote?
I was just going to jump in and tell Chaz what a great job she did in that presentation, and I love graphs and facts and figures, and great job. And yes, I'm going to vote to extend, but great job, Chaz.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Wiesner. Okay, so that was a yes vote also. Are we unanimous on that?
Yes, Mayor, we are unanimous.
Okay. Well, thank you for pointing this out, Councilor Servatius, and thank you for the council for being so willing to extend this. I know that the public hearing process was what threw us into this special meeting in the first place, and I guess when it rains it pours, but we'll see you on Monday at 4 o'clock for those that can attend, and I'll ask staff to reach out, please, to Councilor Wassinger and to Councilor Mack to see if they both or at least one can attend. And it sounds like Councilor Servatius will be gone, but the rest of us will be here at 4 o'clock on Monday. Any other, well, I guess there is no other business since none was advertised.
Mayor, it looks like Councilor Servatius might have a question.
Oh, okay. You guys are seeing it and I'm not for some reason. Councilor Servatius?
Thank you. Our clerk is probably aware of this. There's two sets of rules kind of going on here, Julie. The council rules and procedures. If you look at Rule 2, Section 2, that'll tell you what's required to notify the council for special meetings, just for the folks that aren't here.
Okay,
Thank you, council member.
great. Okay, no other business and beyond that. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Signify by raising your hand, saying aye. Okay,
Aye.
sounds like that's passing. That passes. Thank you. Have a safe week.